tonight with the 3 guests for this year's Frank Saggy Tribute Race at Hagerstown Speedway. The race is going to be on Sunday, May 31st, and we got a little different twist this year. We're going to have 3 special guests, and when special is the key word. I got 3 gentlemen here that were heroes of mine when I was growing up. 3 guys that have accumulated over 100 feature wins at Hagerstown Speedway combined, and nearly 200 more at other speedways. This year's race will be known as the Frank Saggy Tribute Race, with special guests Denny Bonebrake, Sam Nalley, and Larry Gorman. 3 of the best drivers ever to come from the state of Maryland. And on top of being great drivers, great guys. And glad to be here tonight with you fellows and talk about a little bit of racing. We're at the home of Larry Gorman, right outside Hagerstown. And
Can I pay you for the compliments?
No, I'm cheap. It's all good. And it's all true.
You know good.
Yes, it is.
These guys, you know, they put on the show for years. And they raced amongst themselves against each other for over 15 years. From the time they all started around the same time in the late 60s. Correct me if I'm wrong, you guys all started in 1968? Is that correct?
I did.
7.
So you ran a little bit in 67, okay. And I know
I tried to.
69 was when I started.
Okay, I thought you'd ran a couple in
Yeah.
68 also, but I think Denny ran 1 in 68, and you actually could really say you started in 69. But they all started together in the old semi-late division in the late 60s, and you guys all drove 55 Chevrolets.
57.
You had a little newer car, okay, which were very similar cars. But
My first car I bought from somebody that you may know, Marvin Icenoggle.
Absolutely.
$1,200 we paid for it.
Complete car.
And it was rather a piece of junk, but it was better than sitting in the stands watching.
There you go.
You know, because you go up in those stands and you look down there. I can do that. That doesn't look that hard at all.
Looks easy, doesn't it?
But when you get in there and they start you on the pole with 25 people pushing you into the first turn, you
Little different world.
find that it's a little different.
Yeah.
But that's how I got started. $1,200. Now you can't buy a set of tires for.
No, it's pretty tough. They're pretty close to that. Well, Larry, how did you get your start? Who got you interested in racing that made you want to do this?
No one in particular. We were down at the river, Potomac Fishing Game Club, and a bunch of us, you know, we just said we're going up to this Conica Jig place and watch the racing. So we did, and like I say, I was sitting up there watching, and I said, because I had done a bunch of drag racing, but that's far, far different and not nearly as much fun either.
I can imagine.
But it just looked like that I could do it,
Yeah.
and I did it.
You did, and did it well.
And then after that, we wasn't too well the first year.
It took a little while to catch on, yeah.
But later we got into it. We went to some tracks, went up to Bedford and different places, you know, with that old 55 Chevy.
Now, the 55 and 57 Chevys that you guys drove, they had small engines in them at that time, didn't
Right.
they? Like a 283, 289?
Yeah, I think.
Well, you're only allowed a 283. I think you could board 60 over.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What a change that you guys saw during your driving careers of the cars that you drove. From the old heavy Chevrolets. How much did those cars weigh? You guys remember?
Didn't weigh them.
Hell,
Didn't care.
we didn't. We
Yeah.
weren't. As long as the thing go down the straightaway and halfway through the turn, we was in good shape.
There you go.
Good shape.
But they had to be heavy race cars. I mean, they had
It was.
maybe near 4,000 pounds.
No, I'd say they were close to that.
Yeah, in the high 3s.
I know later on when we get into the Camaros and Chevelles and all that, I know that we were close to 4,000.
Is that right?
I mean, we built them so they couldn't be destroyed.
Yeah.
Because a lot
Heavy
of people
duty.
did a little running into you, you know.
Yeah.
We didn't have Pro Molly back then. It was
This heavy stuff.
Or black iron pipe.
Yeah, black iron
Yeah.
pipe.
Yeah. Well, Sam, I know you got started through your father,
Yeah.
and you went to races from the time you were a kid.
Mhm.
Tell us a little about when you used to follow your dad, Bill Nalley, who was one of the best drivers ever.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I got up out of school and I thought I wanted to do it. Told Dad, he said, "Oh, excuse me. Well, go out and find yourself a car, bring it in the garage."
Yeah.
And he didn't think I'd go through with it. When
Surprise.
yeah,
Yeah, you surprised
I
me.
hooked a chain to it, and boy, it wasn't where far from us. And I put it in the garage, and he didn't come out and help me.
Now your dad had
He
been
told me-
retired from driving for a couple of years
Oh,
at the
yeah.
time, wasn't he? Not long, but a couple of years.
He said, "Well, you got all that stuff out." He didn't come out and help me. He wanted to see how bad I was going to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't know, probably weeks went by, and I had parts scattered around the yard. So he said, "I guess he's serious."
Yeah.
So he got in there and
Start pitching in a
yeah,
little bit.
yeah. But he knew how to
Oh yeah.
build it. He built his own years and years and years ago.
Yeah.
But
For those
but
of you
I-
that don't know Sam's dad, Bill, he was one of the top drivers in the 50s up until the mid 60s in flathead, modified, and super modified competition. And, you know, I always remembered one time someone come up to my father and said, "Frank, you've announced all these races, all these different tracks, all these pavement, dirt, sprint cars, late models. Who's the best driver you ever saw?" He kind of looked down, he thought, and he looked at the guy and he said, "I don't know." He said, "But let me tell you something. Bill Nalley was awful good."
yeah,
And he won a lot of races back when you were a kid, didn't
yeah.
he? Yeah. And I guess, Denny, you saw Bill race.
Yeah, because I went to the races with, you know,
With your father.
He
Sure.
had other drivers back
He
in.
raced against Bill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we both were lucky, you know, we had fathers that
Yes.
were in it. And,
Yeah.
well, your dad, Jack, he did all the welding. I remember when you guys started building your cars.
Yep.
He was a welder from Fairchild.
Fairchild, yeah.
Real good welder. So, you know, we've lucky that all of our fathers helped us out.
Mhm. Yes.
And that's how the majority of people do get started in racing, you know, so it
Yeah.
seems. But, well, Sam, your first car then, your dad did help you get it on the track a little bit.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
you got you rolling.
Yeah. I had Roho the Rooster on
Yeah.
the side.
I believe it was number 91, wasn't it?
Yes, sir.
Good looking car.
Yeah.
Now, why did you pick 91? I know your
I
dad
don't-
drove the Lee Stoltz S3.
I don't really remember.
Yeah. That was, I guess, just an open number.
Yeah.
And you ran your dad's colors with the yellow
Yeah.
and the blue. I seen the
Yeah.
pictures of it. Good looking car.
It wasn't too good when I got done with it.
Well, we can all say that.
Yeah, everybody's put a dent or two on them. Well, Denny, your father, Richard Bonebrake, was a racer from what, the late 30s?
Yeah, he raced in 1939, what they
Yeah.
call the old jalopies.
Yeah. And I saw you'd showed me a picture one time with a car that he drove, and you got one hanging at the alignment
Yeah, I had it
shop.
at the shop.
It almost looks like a windmill behind the driver with the roll cage was round, and it took a real man to drive one of those cars.
No, I
Didn't it?
thought I was pretty brave, but
No,
look at what he drove, and he had
Yeah.
a leather helmet, like with the old airplanes. And
Like a
and the
football
goggles.
player. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, Dad
Amazing.
cut, it was a football. He just,
Is that what he wore too?
yeah,
Wow, wow.
got some leather and
Boy, they were tough hombres. And then your father drove for many years, and then he became a
Well,
car
he only
owner.
drove that 1 year, and then he
Oh, he
upset
just
it.
drove one. Okay.
And then in the, I guess the early 50s, he had Shorty Barrett drove for him, Red Nininger, Mert Stein, Glenn Laymaster,
He had some
Buck
boomers back in the
Reese,
day.
Dick Warrenfelts.
Yeah. And then you'd come along and you
I
took
come
over.
along.
Yeah. How'd you do in your first race?
Damn near won.
Got pretty lucky.
And you got unlucky.
And I got unlucky.
Yeah. For those of you that never heard the story, it's incredible. Denny nearly won his first race. He turned 18 in October, and there was one more race left in the season at Hagerstown.
And you had to be 18 then.
And he had to be 18. You couldn't drive when you were 17. And he was leading the race and got a flat tire. And what the tire went over the guardrail.
No, we lost the tire, then I
Yeah.
guess come off the rim.
Right. And you dropped out of the race.
Well,
wasn't many laps to go either.
I
was
guess
it?
I was consistent and stayed on the track. There was that was a long race, and there was a lot of cars that fell out. So.
Yeah, back then you didn't run many 50-lap races, did you?
No, and then the cars now are so much. Everything's so much better.
The equipment's
than
so
last.
much better,
Yeah.
right? But there was a story where that tire went over the guardrail, and somebody went and fetched that tire and brought it back and gave it to your father, didn't they?
Yeah,
I think my father had something to do with that.
he might have. No, that.
They presented that
Yeah.
tire to the Bonebrake family at the banquet that year. But, I heard that story many times. Just incredible that someone could almost win their first time driving.
It is. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. It's anymore. I mean, if somebody can run the first night and not spin out, they did a good job. But to nearly win, that was incredible. And then you guys, all three, got running full time in 1969.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also had good equipment. Dad made the car. And Dick Warmfeld's, they raced. They had a lot of good cars. Buck Reese, drove for Dad.
Yeah.
Same way, they were good cars. So.
See, they knew how to cheat.
Had a little edge on you, huh?
A little edge.
Well, I think they run good and they steered pretty good. So.
There you go.
And it's like anything else. If you get into something that drives,
That's correct. Yeah.
that's a big boost.
Yeah.
To
No
you.
doubt. No doubt. So you three guys started racing against each other full time in 1969, and then raced against each other every year. One night a week, 2 nights a week, all the way up till, Larry, I guess you retired in 1983,
Yep.
and Sam, 85.
I think I ran in '86.
You ran a couple races there. Yeah. And took you a little longer to grow up.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
Yeah, it took
You
me
raced
a
a little
lot
longer.
I was looking at some of my statistics, and it had a chart for the cars whenever we were running that group, and we ran 61 races in a season.
And that was
Plus,
on the old
that was-
Jack Gun car circuit.
That was the three-
Williams Grove,
three tracks.
Sealands Grove, Hagerstown.
Right.
Yes.
And sometimes Bedford.
Yes.
On a Wednesday, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
that was on Wednesday. So you could race Wednesday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
And you did that quite often.
Yeah, we did. Poor guys worked themselves to death, mechanics.
Oh my.
Really tough.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember he did. He'd run 3 to 4 races a week.
Every chance he had there for a
And
while.
I know that just like we run 2 nights a week.
Yeah.
Because it does take quite a toll.
Oh yeah.
A lot of work.
A lot of work. A lot of work. What was kind of neat though with you three, you started together, raced against each other. You were all from the state of Maryland. You went different directions a little bit. Larry raced a lot north. Denny went a little bit north, but mostly south.
Yeah.
Sam was mostly south. But you all would race against each other at Hagerstown on Sunday nights back in the day. And all three very successful on the track and off. It's kind of neat. All three of you had 2 kids. Did you guys ever stop and think about that?
No.
Yeah,
How about
that's true.
that? How about that? Wives, lovely wives, married all these years, 2 kids, like beautiful homes, all the racing.
Lucky women.
Yeah, they were. It was their lucky day, wasn't it?
That's Gorman.
How about that?
Lucky
I'm
man.
glad you said that.
Yeah. But what a change you guys saw in the race cars from the 283,
Unbelievable.
55 and 57 Chevys till, you got into the setback Chevelles of the early 70s when they moved the motor setting back and you started running big block engines. Then they changed the rules a little bit, made you move the motors back forward. Then they come along with the smaller cars. They called them pony cars at the time.
Yeah.
Camaros. Sam had a Nova that worked real good.
Yeah.
And that was a
Then he had
major,
Camaro and a Nova. Yeah.
that was a major deal because people didn't want to change. And a lot of people already had cars built, the bigger cars.
Yep.
And then they switched over and we had Camaros, Mustangs, and
Novas. Yeah.
those. But whenever I started, I'm sure some of you know Dick Warnfeld's.
Oh yeah.
He had two cars, 500 and 600.
Yes.
And one, Roscoe Barnes, drove it. So he took me along a few times, Roscoe did, because he would drink his way from Hagerstown to Everett, Pennsylvania. And he'd take me along. By the time we got there, he'd done drank a six-pack or so. He said, just told me to go out and take the car out and warm it up. Well, I just loved it.
Oh yeah.
I'd get out there and have, you know, I didn't really know what I was doing, but that's how
That's how you learn.
how I got started.
I'll be darned.
Yep.
I'll be
And they
darned.
were, both of those guys were good racers.
Oh yeah.
Really, really good racers.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, Dick Warnfeld's won a load of races.
Yep.
Drove for Denny's dad.
Mm-hmm.
Won a championship at Hagerstown.
Yeah, him and Dad, that's how Dick got started. Dad supplied the car, and Dick had a motor he dragged with. He used it as a drag strip, I think, and they put the motor in the car, and that's how they went
So
racing.
they formed the team. I'll be darned. Didn't know that. So more or less, Dick Warnfeldt was one of the guys you sort of learned to drive from watching.
Yeah, well, I saw him race a lot of.
Darn right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Larry, is that your first car was a number 100, and you
Yeah.
ran a number 100 for many years when you had your own equipment.
Right.
Tell us how you got that 3-digit number. That was a little bit of a different.
I just took it.
There you go. Nobody else had it.
Nobody had it.
Yeah.
And Dick was 500, and Roscoe was 600.
That's
so
why I was sort of
I'm gonna be
thought.
100.
So you went with a 3-digit deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was an ugly old car, red and gold
I kind of saw the pictures and thought it looked pretty good myself.
from the half mile.
I thought you always had good looking cars.
Later we did.
Yeah.
Yep. The guys up at Chambersburg, they prided themselves in building the prettiest,
Yeah.
nicest looking car that they could.
You had a crew
And they-
with you for a
they-
lot of years
they
there.
did, yep.
Well, you had a body man that really did a lot of work
Yeah.
on that.
Juice.
Juice
Juice
Siders.
Siders. Yeah, Juice
I mean,
Siders.
he was
And Ralph
fantastic.
Yeager was a real good wrench man.
Yep.
Those guys were awful loyal to you. They were with you a long time.
Yep. It was good.
Yeah. And Sam, you went the 3-digit number route then too.
Yeah. I don't know why.
Just did it.
Yeah.
That was
I
sort
just
of a
did
fad back at that time.
I just did it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, maybe because your dad ran the S3, you thought
Yeah, S3,
300.
yeah.
Because your car was always the light
Yeah.
blue and the yellow.
And there wasn't any rules against it.
No.
Yeah.
There you go.
Some of the tracks you only were allowed to have 2 numbers because of scoring, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they all hand scored back in the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably gritted their teeth a little bit when you guys pulled in. And of course, you ran the 5 for many, many years, which was your dad's number, and
Yeah.
kept it simple, 1 digit. Cheaper to get lettered back in the day.
Yeah, you only have to pay
Yeah.
to have one number.
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah. So you guys went from the old 55, 57 Chevys to the Chevelles, which ended up with big block motors in them. Then you ended up in the pony cars to the Camaros, which you built your own chassis there for a little while. But then the store-bought cars come into vogue.
Yeah.
That was a big
Well, I do
change.
have a story
That was
about
a
the
big
big
change.
blocks.
Yeah.
Him and I come out with a big block the same week at Winchester. He got one. You got through General Motors, I think, didn't you?
I don't know.
Yeah, because it was in your car. You got a General Motors.
I think a lot of teams
It
did
come
buy
from,
motors in a
yeah,
crate
straight
from
through,
Right motor.
from
yeah,
the
crate
dealership.
Chevrolet.
Yeah, from
And it
Chevrolet.
was a 427.
Yeah.
And somehow we got hooked up with Bill Gatto, and we had one built too. He went out in the first heat, and here he had bearing troubles.
Hmm.
And I scared to death to take that car out the next
Oh,
heat.
I bet you. I bet you. And you had went from a 283 to a
No, we were
427.
350s then.
Okay, you progressed to a 350. Okay.
350s before that, but yeah, we both got the. I remember both of them having that big block the first time, and he had trouble with his, and then of course I guess he
How'd
tore it
yours
apart.
work out?
Well, I was luckier than he was
There
there.
you go. You got lucky.
Yeah.
Bill Gatto was a good engine builder back in
Yeah.
the day, wasn't he? And
And Mr. Bill Gatto, I went to him and got an engine bigger than yours.
Yes, you did.
bigger
He
was
built
better,
some
wasn't
big-
it?
Yep. And Gatto's a super guy.
Yeah.
Super.
I never
Engine-
heard a bad
engine builder.
word about that guy. Yeah.
Yep. He was that.
Master engine builder.
Yeah,
For
we
late
went from
models,
what,
modified sprint cars. you
Oh,
name it.
yeah.
427, then they went to 454s. Then they built some bigger than that.
Started making them bigger. What was the biggest engine you ever had, Larry? You remember? Because I think you had some excess of 500 cubic
I got
inch.
one out of Baltimore. It was 750 horsepower.
Oh my. That was huge at the time and a lot
Yeah,
of torque.
back in.
Your cubic inch was what, maybe 5 1/4?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what that was.
I know you had one that was really, really big.
But it was a big waste. It
Really?
was too much power
It overheated a
You
lot.
gotta get
didn't
it to the ground.
over. Right, exactly.
Yeah, yeah, you
That's
gotta
what
get it
happened.
down.
It had a lot of torque.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it makes it rough getting off turns.
yeah, no doubt. So then, and those were cars that you put the big block motors in the Camaros with the real big 108-inch diameter tires, drag tires.
That's all
And-
we ever used, just about. And it would bite us when the track got real hard on long races.
The
But-
lower profile
but
tires were good then.
Them short races with the muddy track, I loved it.
Yeah. Especially going north in Pennsylvania where you did the majority of your racing.
Yes,
That
exactly.
was definitely the way to go.
That's one of the reasons I went up there.
You had the tires for it.
I had the tires in the car for it.
Yeah. And then you guys ended up driving wedge cars with the big spoilers and the Lexan.
Yeah.
And,
I only ever run one race in my life with that.
is that right?
Yeah.
That was about the time you were getting out
Yeah.
then. I remember you had a little bit with the spoilers.
They were crazy looking cars.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
They had the
That was my least favorite.
I was going to say, you did well, but you really didn't
I
care
never
for
liked
did
all
you?
that plastic and stuff hung on them.
No. That was not a real race car to you, was it? You were used to driving a car, not a spaceship.
Air-wise, you can definitely admit you went through the corners.
Oh, it
fast.
had to help you. Sure.
But
That's
it's
why everybody
just
did it.
that, I just never liked all that plastic hanging on them.
Yeah.
And another problem is if you're behind them and the track's muddy, all that plastic gets full of mud.
Yep.
You can't see around the vehicle.
Can't, it follows it right back.
Plus it made
What'd you think of those
add
wedge
100 or
cars?
so pounds.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I liked it when you could get from Savakis or when they come out with them cars.
Yeah.
And they were good driving
They
cars.
was good driving cars.
They basically took a pavement late model and adapted it to dirt. They were really nice cars. In fact, Larry, you had a Zervakis car. Sam, you drove 3 or 4, and plus the Tom Pistone car you drove. That Nova was a really good race car. That car treated you well.
Yeah, that was a real long track.
Yeah.
race.
Longer the race,
Big
the better you
race.
liked it.
Didn't treat me.
And Denny had the Zervakis car.
And that was
so
Leaf
good to
Springs.
you. Yep.